Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another video. Now, uh, this one's been a long time coming. Maybe not for you, but it might explain a few things as well. Why I had kind of a lack of interest in fly fishing for the last 18 months, 2 years or so, and that comes directly linked to this project that comes today. Now, this is just the beginning. I'm only starting to scratch the surface, but like I said, it's something I've been preparing for a long time. Now, what happened, especially if you're one of the subscribers that have been following the channel for quite some time, thank you very much. We're past 4,300 this week, so this is brilliant. Thank you very much. But the thing is that I arrive at a stage in fly fishing, and it has happened in most of the technique I used pursuing pike. I mean, I fished dead bait, I fished trolling, I fished many different technique, wobble dead bait, you name it. I've probably done it for pike. But when I hook to a technique, something that really excites me, I need to feed a huge cauldron of creativity. And that's where I kind of move on from project to project. Probably my relationships too. So that's probably explains a few things, but that's what can you do? That's in the nature of the beast. But yeah, in fly fishing, I thought I arrived at a kind of a summit of what I could create for pike flies. And and even out there at the moment you look and it's just a repetition of flies. We have arrived at a kind of a summit of type of flies, and it used to be the big fashion of the tube flies first, which I was never been a big fan, but that came from the northern countries, the Scandinavian countries, probably linked to the salmon fishing, I suppose. But then we had the emergence of the musky fly fishing coming, the buffered, the big chicken flies, the massive things from musky, that merged into what we're kind of using nowadays in modern pike fly tying and pike fly fishing. And and all is good. I understand many people who arrive and they're happy to fish with their flies and their wiggle tails, but to me, I arrive at a stage where I'm not anymore challenged, and I get bored easily, and I need to create something. And my creation was locked, mainly, I would say, with the creation of parts for the fly that are strongly linked to the lure design. So that's why I kind of jumped back into the lure designing lately, which I think helped me to get back onto the fly tying. It's a kind of a whole circle moving round and round. But the two are merging now, which is the important thing. So that's the kind of history of what's happened to the channel, and hopefully that'll give you an explanation of what's happening. But don't worry, the fly tying is not over. Actually, it's starting to come back now a little bit. So yeah. So there's the project. This is we always have a change of mostly type of tails lately. Could be zonker, could be feather, could be. There's the dog going mad. You all right? Could be wiggle tail, could be wave tails, but most of that focus is based on the back of the fly, which is a good thing. You get attraction. That's what's going to give you vibration in the water and a bit of a signal for the pike. But the way the fly moves is totally directed to the head, to the front of it. This is the engine with, especially this is why you see me fishing a lot of articulated flies. The head is the main driver of the fly. That's why I loved fishing T-bone flies using body tubing, because it pushes water and it changes drastically the movement of a fly. Now, I worked for quite some time on different designs of heads and trying to make them out of wood and out of different things, but making them sinking was difficult. And the last 3 months, I got back into having a serious look again in 3D printing. And I always thought 3D printing, you needed a big engineering degree to be able to 3D print or design 3D prints. But actually, to my surprise, because when I first checked 3D printing, when it started to become popular, it wasn't that really easy and approachable, and I didn't have time to devote to learn the whole thing. But now it's very approachable. It's very affordable too. It's surprisingly affordable, I thought. I put the link of the thing I use in later videos anyway. 3D printing is going to do a series of videos as well, because I have a few things coming up of what 3D printing can bring an angler. So most of my design, I got back into 3D printing for quite a few reasons. Once you buy the machine, after it's fairly okay to run the filaments. Even now, I'm using kind of a more expensive filament. It's a kind of a extra durable and tough one, so it's going to last for forever for pike flies. It's the type of filament used for making a model airplane with engines that crashes all the time, that sort of thing. So it's very, very durable filament. Now the header design, it comes in two versions. You would have the same design, but it comes first as a floating head and then as a very slow sinking head. Now I managed, which is the beauty of the 3D printing, is that by changing the density of the filling inside with the filament and the shape of the filament, you can have different densities of like this. For example, I started 60%, 55%. Is that, yeah, that's good. And this way I managed to kind of gradually find the perfect balance, because you can go on the computer in incrementation of 1% if you want. There'll be a lot of filament and a lot of waste. But I found what kind of works well and where my fly sits perfect for the action I want it to have. Now, the main action you're going to get with this fly, and as you can see, the shape of the head, it's not like a popper, because it's concave here, and a second really aggressive concave in the mouth of the head. Now that's what's going to happen, is that this head usually sits straight up, because I changed the density of the filament filling inside. So what's happening by changing the density, I have a heavier bottom of the head and a slightly lighter, which traps more air inside while the printing is made. So this head basically sits straight up like this. Now, what's going to happen is that it's going to give the fly an extreme upright sitting position in the water. Flies are going to sit basically like this. Now, it's going to take a while. It needs really to get wet, and that's why I don't use too much fiber. I'm using purely flash, because that gets wet straight away and the fly will get into its fishing position fairly quickly. Now the fly is going to sit like this. The floating one, as you can see, it would stick about that much. So it's not going to create a huge pop. But what's going to do, because you're going to have your leader slightly underwater in the pose, is going to drag that fly, splash water forward, get it to sink. But then as soon as the fly is sinking by the power of your traction, as soon as it's going to release that power, it's going to have less energy. That fly is going to ride because of that extreme concave, and it's going to want to go straight back up again and back up to the surface very slowly. So you're going to have a very aggressive downwards and then a very, very aggressive backwards swim. Now, I think it's not something that you see very often at the moment in the actions of flies. And I think, I know it's pretty good at the moment. I'm really enjoying the way these flies are moving. The sinking one, slow sinking one, the very slow sinking, nearly neutral buoyant, but depending on the line you're going to use, it's going to sink a good bit faster. So the faster the sinking line, the shorter the leader to get a good connection with this fly. But same thing, that fly is going to hover and go down really, really slowly. And any traction, it's going to want to ride back up because of that extreme concave in the mouth. So you're going to pull, that fly is going to go back up and then sink really, really slowly. So dragging this, and that's going to come to the choice of hook, which is good for the top water and the sinking one. I went with different hooks, and at the end I went with a Texan hook, something like this. Now the advantage of this is that if you're dragging this to the bottom, you can drag it, that head moves forward up, streamer back up, and then back down. So you're not going to get hooks up on the bottom, you're not going to get snagged on anything silly. Same thing for top water. You'll have an easier time to ride that over lily pads and things like this as well. So I think it's a pretty versatile hook. Now after, I'll be making just the heads. If people want to purchase just the heads and have a fancy, want to have a go at doing that themselves and changing the hooks, probably I will invert the attachment as well and put it in 90 degrees downward. So like that, you'll be able to use that on your own flies. So you can change the head very quickly. And the system of the attachment is very simple inside, but because it's all down to the millimeter, really good, you really have to push this really nice and hard and it doesn't come off. But with force you can take the head out, but it's not going to come out in any fishing situation or being snagged. It's really solid. Now what else can I say on this bad boy? That's about it. But mainly this is the beginning of something that's gonna grow, because I have quite a few more design, but this is one that I'm pretty happy to have designed. Now again, going back to the 3D printing quickly, I'm glad I brought a coffee because this could be a long talking video, but yeah, just thanks for sticking with me. Now the advantage of the 3D heads compared to foam or something like this, tunability is one big thing, is that I can create anything, any sink rate that I want with that. Super durable. I mean, that stuff is super durable. I can also make it in a biodegradable filament as well, if you're environmentally friendly. That's a possibility, and it feels fairly tough. I don't think it's the toughest one, but you will have quite a few seasons out of it compared to this one. This one will last a very long time. Now the cons of these heads is that, of course, it's the weight. The more filament to make them sink, the heavier they get. So that's why first I don't tie them on any fibers onto the hook. They are designed so I can tie any kind of fibers or flash straight onto the head. So the hook basically is flowing free on the inside like this. So you have a free flowing hook attached straight onto the head of the fly, and all the material is just tied onto the fly, because you've probably seen there's a little groove at the bottom like this. There's a little collar where you can just wrap up your material. And the advantage of that is that you have like super movement of the fiber. You get good volume because the fibers start from a really wide open inside, and then you just minimize the weight by tying the fly onto the hook itself. So minimum material, as you can see, is only just a bit of flash, but because of the movement it has and the amount of water it pushes, it has a huge presence in the water. So the fibers are just perfect. You don't need more than that. So there you are, guy. I still don't have a name for these. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to call them because it's all just coming out and super fresh. So Thanks for sticking with me. I will be adding those on the website if you're interested. And if you want to see other stuff or other content, please let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, thanks again for passing 4,300. You guys are brilliant. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.